Welcome to Her Brain's His Looks Real Estate and Lifestyle podcast. It's hosted by two of the smartest and most attractive realtors in the business, well, according to their mothers. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the brains of the operation, Erika Portanova Songer, and the looks, George E. O'Connell.
You know what that music means, don't you, Erika?
Oh, I do.
What does it mean?
Welcome to our Her Brains, His Looks, Real Estate and Lifestyle podcast. I am Her Brains, Erika Portanova Songer, and you are?
His Looks,
obviously,
George E. O'Connell, realtor for William Pitt Sotheby's out of Southport Harbor.
Yes. Oh, I'm a realtor as well. We're both real. So this week, we're going to focus on the town of Fairfield. Remember, each week we focus on a town. We talk about all the cool stuff about these towns and the real estate facts, and we do a go-to too. We'll tell you about that in a second.
We forgot our industry focus this week.
Oh, yes.
Very exciting industry focus this week.
We have our first live interview with a partner in our industry. We'll talk about that in a moment as well. So welcome. Hope everybody's well. And talk about Fairfield. So Fairfield, most people think about Fairfield, they think about the beaches. We have our public beaches of Jennings Beach. We have Penfield Beach. I personally like Jennings Beach. They have a fantastic playground there. South Pine Creek.
Yeah.
We have Lake Mohegan, great walking trails, nice lake.
Good place to bring your dog. Don't forget.
Yeah. Leashed dog.
Leashed.
Is there a rule? Does it leash?
I think it can be unleashed certain, like Jennings Beach on the off season.
Yeah, often you have horses and dogs.
Yeah, you can bring your dog there, but I think it's supposed to be leashed. But I see a lot of unleashed dogs there. I'm not sure the hard and true rule. But
okay, well, you know I feel about rules. I'm a rule follower.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. But Lake Mohegan also has a sprinkler park. They have a great concession stand. So, because I know these things about that.
Yes, you have a child.
Those are details I need to know.
It's okay. I have a dog.
Yeah, there you go. But I grew up going to Fairfield beaches my whole childhood. So
fancy.
Oh yeah, very fancy. And
why is Penfield Jennings your favorite beach?
The playground. No, literally, because for me personally, the playground, it's not on the beach, so you can make it two activities.
Oh, the one across the lot.
Yes. So it's playground first, then beach. But it's Penfield's
on the beach.
Playground, which is fantastic, is on the beach. So you end up going to the beach just to be on the playground the whole time.
I think it would be the other way around, wouldn't it?
One would think. One would think. But in my experience, that has not been true. So but that's okay. Each to their own, as they say, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the real estate stats.
Well, jumping right in.
Are we jumping right into that?
I guess so.
I think we are. I feel like
remember, you control the slides.
That's right. Hold on, please. That's my new job.
All right. So we're kicking right into the real estate stats. We always start off with the total number of closed sales.
Right. So we always focus on single family homes, simply because condos just tend to dilute the information a little bit. And we just feel it's an easier, cleaner information that we can share. So single family home sales in the last 2 full calendar years, 2018, 2019. So 2018, we had 730 units or single family homes close or trade. And in 2019, we had 767 homes that closed.
And that's up about a little over 7% for 19 over 18.
Okay. Yep,
Plus
7% increase. Yep. Thank you. And Fairfield is a very neighborhood-driven town. A lot of towns are, but Fairfield, in particular, when we sell Fairfield, when we sell it to our clients, the first thing we have to ascertain is which market area, which neighborhood you want to be in.
This is a cool slide we added for Fairfield. It tells you how many sold of that 767 in each neighborhood. There is some that aren't picked on MLS, so you do have the other category. But
right.
Leading the charge
We're going to ignore the other category. Okay, so leading the charge is the university area. Now, we have 2 universities in Fairfield, but currently it's focused on Fairfield University, our second university being Sacred Heart. But when they say university area, at the moment they are referring to the Fairfield University area. We had 128 houses that sold in that area in 2019.
Yeah, and second in line, you had Greenfield Hill with 123, the beach area with 119 closed sales, and ending up the top four is Stratfield with 108.
Right. So let's focus. So just for one moment, Greenfield Hill, for those that are not from the area, Greenfield Hills are further, is it north?
Up the hill.
Up the hill. It's the homes with a much bigger land lots. So you're talking north of 1 acre, you're talking 2-3 acres and plus. So
Estates.
yes, estates, the much more.
Although there are estates down here.
That's true.
Southport and South Pine Creek area, but these are considered the Greenfield estate area.
Yes, and they're known for their bigger portions of land there. So the beach area is obvious. The Stratfield area is closer to the parking, you sort of Bridgeport side. Again, just a different section of Fairfield. So it's neat to figure out where you want to focus when you're looking for houses in Fairfield, and then once you determine the market area you want to stay in or live in rather, then that's when you hone in on your search.
All right, the next slide is just a kind of reiteration, exact numbers, but on the Google map, how many homes in the area sold. So
right, show you the cross section of the locations, right? Okay, Fairfield average sale price. So everybody wants to know, of course, the what they're going to be spending, what they're going to be ultimately selling for. So 2018, the average sale price of single family homes, so $776,998. So close to $777,000 was the average sale price in 2018. And in 2019, you had a lesser price point of $709,000, rounding up a little bit. So
yeah, that was a dip, about 8.8% dip there.
Right, and I think we established that was it more houses in 2018, but the higher price point. So yeah.
I mean, literally just a few houses throw it off. It looks a little more dramatic. I mean, it is. Don't get me wrong, 60-something thousand. Looks a little more dramatic in our slide.
By the way, the graph is displayed.
By the way, thank you, Google Excel or Sheets or whatever they call
George's capabilities. Who's very good at that. Okay, so Fairfield. So the single family average days on market. Every time we list a property with a seller, they're going to ask us, how long will it take for my house to sell? So average days on market means from the moment the house goes live on the market until there's an accepted offer. So that can be skewed based on when the listing agent changes the status.
You say this every week.
I do, but what if we have new people?
All right.
What if they didn't hear last week? It's their first time ever.
All right. Well, we can go back.
I feel that a review of information is very helpful.
So what are the numbers?
Anyway, 2018, the average days on market, 76.9. So 77 days on 2019, 91 days on market, a little bit longer to wait for your house to get an accepted offer.
A change of about 18%. We can obviously do the math, so it's about 13 more days.
Well, some of us can do the math. So
quickly in our head.
Yes, that's George's strength. Okay, so total volume of closed sales. You'll see these billboards sometimes, right, with realtors or towns saying they sold X amount this year.
These are exciting. These are exciting numbers.
And bigger is better. We all know that, right? So bigger numbers are better. 2018, we had $566 million in sales. 2019, we had $544 million in sales.
It's a lot of commas.
It's a lot of commas. I had to check my numbers there.
Half a billion.
Yep, not
That's
bad.
What that tells you.
Not bad. All right. Average percent of last list price. So we always point out last list price because, as you see, people will change their asking price for their home, right? They'll start a certain list price and they may what we like to call price adjustment 1 or 2 times, 3 times, possibly, who knows? So this is the percentage that the house sells of their last list price. 2018, houses within 96.7% of their latest list price. So this would gives you an expectation when you're going to sell in the following year, what you can expect.
This is where the graph is a little wacky too, but it's 0.7%.
We love graphs. 2019, 96% of the last list price is what it's sold at. So again, it's really also managing expectations for future sales,
absolutely.
Right?
And just a reminder, our Google Slides PDF is available as an attachment to podcast on YouTube. as well as the Apples and the Spotifys and the Outcasts of the world. So look into the show notes and you'll see some clickable links that you'll be able to find there.
Just think of us as your real estate resource for this town and many other towns to come and in the past. Okay.
Resourcing because our
moving on. Okay.
Our live industry.
A little bit long. Okay. So our current status, we currently have 350 single family homes for sale in Fairfield. Average asking price, $1,277,346. 86 homes of the 86 are listed between $1 and $2 million. Average listing price $1,442,261. Of those, 4 houses are over $2 million and plus. So average asking price $4,117,000. A lot. We have 56 homes that currently have accepted offers. Average ask price or listing price $685,757, and 51 homes a deposit, which means they are in a fully executed contract phase, and their average ask price $736,412.
All right, which brings us into our featured home of the week.
We like to select one listing per town to feature, and we're going to select 734 Sasco Hill Road in Fairfield.
Oh, I said South Pine Creek Beach. I meant Sasco Hill Beach. Yeah, that's what I meant.
I know what you meant. Asking price $4.7 million.
It's quite large house.
It's large. It's gorgeous. The views are spectacular. 12-room federal style colonial, built in 1929, 6,900 square feet. That's 4 levels of living space, 6 bedrooms, 6 full baths, 3 half baths. The best part, my opinion, are the views. You're looking at the golf course, your views of Southport Harbor and Long Island Sound.
Yeah, Fairfield Country Club.
Fairfield Country Club golf course. Very prestigious, fabulous golf course that we have here. That it's not easy to get into. The listing detail of this can be found, of course, you can call us. We can send the listing detail to you. You can find it on realtor.com or any of the other real estate sites, but it is listed through our office here at William Pitt Sotheby's in Southport. Beautiful home, beautiful house. And the nicest part, in my opinion, is vintage 1929, the detail of yesteryear, but of course, today's amenities.
Yeah, just give us a call and we'll be glad to show you that $4+ million home.
There you go.
Which brings us to our industry focus with Al Strazza with the law offices of Ambrose and Strazza. Here's our interview with Al.
All right, so we're excited to have our first industry partner here live with us in our studio, Al Strazza, attorney Al Strazza with Ambrose and Strazza here in Fairfield. So welcome, Al.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Great, Al. Welcome. Al is our industry focus this week. We are concentrating on the closing process.
Right, and real estate attorneys and how to pick a great one. I highly recommend. I've been working with him for years now, and it's important to have somebody good on your team. So we had a couple sort of talking points we were going to go through, Al, and of course jump in with anything that you can think of or that might be entertaining to us. So as far as when you receive the contract, I guess, obviously the realtor's done their part. They've gone through the inspections, hopefully at that point, and you have the contract in hand. And then talk us through the process of where you are with intervening with the client, and where do you sort of have to jump in the process, and where's your help needed most?
Well, normally when I get a broker contract, I'll review the broker contract and any addendums to if there's any issues regarding inspections, or they reserve the right to do inspections. If we're getting a mortgage, I will usually go to a bar contract because it has more protections in the contract in terms of mortgage commitment contingencies and such.
As opposed to the 4-page standard SMLS or MLS contract.
Exactly. And I could make, especially when my client's a buyer, I can add more representations that I would like the seller to make in terms of maybe underground storage tanks, condition of the premises, use. It'll give me the opportunity to do a title search, which I've been doing since the 90s. I'll literally go to the towns myself. Anyone close, Westport, Fairfield, actually all over the state I do. But I'll check the encumbrances and maybe some of the covenants and restrictions that are important to me. I'll look for a survey. Survey's worth it's worth 1,000 words. I'll compare the survey with the legal description, check what open mortgages are, taxes, maybe sewer use fees, sewer assessments, and such stuff.
And
like
liens, and make sure.
Yeah, I'll look for liens,
encumbrances.
encumbrances. A lot of times, I only find one mortgage or maybe one mortgage in a HELOC, but I'm really looking for issues with use, or maybe a gap in the chain, or maybe an issue with title.
Excellent.
So another question that clients always have is the mortgage contingency date. So I represent the seller, and they said, well, when the date comes and goes, is a deal? And I said, well, not really, because when we have that mortgage contingency date, there's usually some outstanding conditions. So do you want to explain how the process works when you have to request an extension for the mortgage contingency, but yet the deal is still strong and still viable? I think it's hard for sellers to understand that you can't get a complete mortgage approval 3 weeks out, if you will.
Exactly. If they really want that, they can add time as essence language. That's, I guess, term of art, where it would mean if you don't date certain, time certain, if you don't extend this contingency, then it's done, and the deal goes firm, meaning the deposit's no longer refundable. With mortgage commitment contingency dates, from a seller's perspective, they're looking to have a firm deal as soon as they can. So that date is so important to them. But they have to understand that the mortgage application process is very difficult for the buyers to navigate, especially when they're dealing with underwriters that they have no contact with, and appraisers that have no contact with the buyer or in the bank. And there's a lot of back and forth. So there's never really a firm commitment, even when you get a mortgage commitment, because the bank can always not honor the commitment. So there's a little bit of gray area there. And as attorneys, we do our best to, I guess, manage everyone's expectations accordingly. So if I'm representing a buyer, I'm going to say, well, you can drop your mortgage commitment contingency, but here are the issues that we have open. 95% of the time, it's a verification of employment, or they want to look at your tax returns again, or they're looking for, updated documents like your bank statements and such. If I'm representing a seller, always getting peppered with extension requests from the buyer's attorney.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
And I
It's their
don't
job.
want, it's their job. They're
Yeah.
doing their job, but that can be like anything, can be try to extend the mortgage commitment contingency date to the day of closing, which is an illusory contract, meaning it's not really a contract. So that's always a tension point. And they're always in the business that like to just keep extending those, and they minimize their buyer's risk to zero. They protect their money, all the deposit money, all the way to the date of closing. That's not how it's supposed to be, because as a seller's or a buyer on another transaction, and they have, you can't keep kicking the can down the road because it has a domino effect. So I don't really have a clear-cut answer for you on.
One exists. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to hear, how you explain that. And I think what's important too is when you have those extension requests made, because you don't have a full clear to close, which we just really don't ever get, it's nice to know what those conditions are that are outstanding. If what I consider to be very typical or minimal, that's fine, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
Verification of a deposit that just went through the account or whatever it may be. But as full disclosure and transparency makes everybody feel a lot better.
Correct. A lot of times, if I'm representing a seller and I ask the buyer's attorney, what's outstanding? And if he tells me something like the appraisal, I'll say, well, the appraisal should have been done a month ago. Why are we not pushing this down? Because you're contractually obligated to, work towards getting your mortgage commitment. If they're dragging their feet, then there's an issue somewhere.
Right. That's a red flag that we have to listen to. So negotiating some inspection issues. I can say personally, having worked with Al a lot, I like to think that I negotiate all my inspection issues very well and get them done. However, when I bring Al into it, it's because I truly can't do any more than from my realtor position when he steps in and saves the day or tries to save the day.
I don't know about saving the day, but just try to
Try?
try to get
Try to save the day?
everyone at the table to one, you're buying product. You're not going to have everything perfect. And there's a certain type of buyer that would like to buy a brand new house at a used price point, and it's just not going to happen. So once another attorney, the buyer's attorney, gets involved, and if it's a seasoned attorney and a realistic attorney, then everyone can come. And if both sides are a little bit upset about the way things went down, then it's probably a good deal.
So you'll say,
Yes.
both have to come out of the deal with
Right.
not winning something.
Yeah, if they're everyone's not everyone. So that's what we try to do. Keep them all just basically happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And get it done. I mean, the goal is always the same, right? To get the transaction done and closed properly and
My job, because you're the negotiator, you've put the deal together, you brought all the buyers and sellers to the table. My job is to enable it to get done while protecting the my clients'
Right.
legal rights and represent them to the best of my ability. Sometimes our views may not exactly line up, but there's always a happy medium that we can find. And if there's not, then we'll have a discussion about it, because there's multiple agency roles here.
right. And so that everybody do their job too and not get in the way. So thank
Kind
you for
of
that.
leads us into our show notes a little bit about, when they're not meeting in the middle or coming out without the shiny red bike, as Al said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your best closing story that didn't close?
That didn't close. I don't know. We had one that actually did close.
Don't.
I won't even go.
No
Don't share the
addresses.
details.
No
No
clients, no addresses.
That was a very difficult one. It was
That-
challenging.
That was a very difficult one. I have one right now that didn't close, and it was a transaction where my clients acted as the mortgagees, and they put some mortgages out on a property, and that gentleman basically reneged on a lot of different deals, and he's left the state. So now we haven't closed in that transaction. There was a buyer in that transaction, and we're going to have to foreclose on those mortgages and then complete the house on our own. And on the they were in a transaction where they were the owner of the property. My clients, same client, they were had engaged this certain individual to be the contractor on basically a new renovation, and he did the same thing. He took a lot of funds and left town, and my clients were able to finish the property on our own end, and we ended up selling it. So there's a lot of I always think this: everybody's a good guy till they're not. So you always have to trust but verify.
Yeah.
And fantastic people. Just they're like, man, this was a really good experience in terms of figuring out how bad things can get.
Now that foreclosure process expedite in that case, or
No, it's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while.
It's going to take some time.
It's going to take your average foreclosure time.
Yeah, like 4 to 6 months.
Then you can do. Jeez.
Not really.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I don't want to get into the particulars of the deal.
Understood.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So I think we appreciate you, Al, stopping by.
Yeah, I'll come by whenever.
Oh, awesome.
Appreciate
Because we have definitely more questions, but our podcasts have been a little long.
And we always needed a good attorney conversation. So for those that need a fantastic real estate attorney, Al Strazza from Ambrose and Strazza here in Fairfield. And on our slides and our website, right, George, will be all the detailed information.
Attached to the podcast is Google Slides, and Al's information will be there. He is located at 1100 Kings Highway East. As we said, in Fairfield, he can be reached at 203-333-2116.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks,
Really
Al.
appreciate it.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Okay, here we go. We're back. That was Al Strazza. So you have all the information you need.
Yeah, thanks
On it.
again, Al, for coming out.
Yeah, that
it
was
awesome. That really charged me up, man. That was cool.
So I realized while we were listening to that, we spoke about Fairfield and sort of jumped in with the beaches, but we forgot to say one really important thing about Fairfield in the beginning, George.
What did you forget?
It's true. I forgot. So one of our, many great features here in town is, of course, our train stations. We have 2 train stations, and we're a very popular commuter town. So
Good point.
a lot of reason why people move here, or one of the reasons, is of course our access or convenience to New York City and to the train. So we had our original train station, which has been here forever, and then in the last 10 years built our Fairfield Metro, which is closer to Kings Highway, sort of Brewster Street area.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
Lower Black Rock Turnpike.
Yep. So having that second train station has been massively fantastic, because parking's always been an issue with the original train station. So again, we offer 2 train stations here in Fairfield, and being on the commuter line is really important for a lot of people that require that, that work access. So.
And there's tons of parking, with the Metro.
Yeah, with the new one,
it's amazing how much parking they have.
Which is great. And of course, downtown Fairfield, we spoke about, just going to segue into our go-to in a moment, but our downtown Fairfield's great. We have tons of restaurants, tons of bar areas, tons of shops, boutiques.
Can't wait to feature the one we had today.
I know.
That was a cool store.
That was. So that brings us to our
go-to.
Yeah.
And advance the slide, please.
Oh, right. That's right. Oh, God.
She's back, kids.
I'm back. I'm going to get this. I swear.
Well, let's talk about Nordic Fish, because we go to it often.
George and I eat
we
there.
ate it today.
Yeah, we had lunch there today, and maybe I was there yesterday. I don't know.
And on the way out, he handed me some swordfish chili they have in the grab and go case. But talk about Nordic Fish and our experiences, why it's our favorite sushi place in Fairfield.
So our experiences are vast, since George and I probably have lunch there like 3 times a week, but don't tell anybody that.
Rika pays.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so Nordic Fish, it's 2 owners, Yardar, it's a Norwegian descent, a name, and Frank. That's who we saw today, was Frank. But
Frank's the one that handed me my sword chili.
Yep. So, and they're great. So we go there for lunch. They have high top tables in the front where you can grab what you'd like, takeout style, and then eat there or bring back to your office or wherever. But a lot of and they have a big showcase of fish that they sell, really high quality fish. Yardar was telling me that they had fatty bluefin last weekend that completely sold out, was really popular. George, you're like a fish expert. You probably can appreciate that more than I understand that. But he was excited to tell me about it. So
I was excited to hear it, but I was a little.
But they really take, Frank and Yardar, again, the owners of Nordic Fish, really take a lot of pride in the quality of the fish that they sell. They have an on-staff sushi chef
Sure.
there who makes a sushi, which is what typically George and I get. And by typically, I mean we get every time. We get the sushi. We get our George and I have this obsession with the salmon tartare, capers,
red onions.
So we basically inhale it with a spoon, maybe
little scoop over Ritz crackers.
Yeah, if we have the time to even do the cracker part of that, inhaling it.
Yeah, fish and chips there to go as well. Pretty amazing.
They have every day they have a takeout menu that changes periodically, and prepared foods taking home for dinner in the evenings. But I think that their challenge, if you will, is a lot of people don't know that they serve lunch there, and again in the takeout capacity. So our jobs tell you that not only is their fresh fish fabulous to get
fish
bring
market,
home, the fish market, thank you, but they have lunch and they prepared foods to pick up or eat there. So please check it out. Do you want to share the details of where they are?
Yeah, they are right on the Post Road at 1499. They are open Monday through Friday, 9 to 7, on Saturday, 9 to 6, and on Sunday, 10 to 5.
They're kind of right near they're near the Fairfield University bookstore. So use that as a landmark. And the best part is they have curbside pickup. So, because parking can be a little bit challenging on nice days on the right there in that Post Road section. So, but they're fantastic. So it's a personal favorite of ours.
And all that information, again, will be in our Google slide link. And the second part of our go-to is another awesome store. It is the Beehive.
Mm-hmm.
And there's kind of, I don't know if the terminology is right, a pop-up store inside the Beehive.
Yeah, called Party.
Party. But first, let's hit the Beehive.
Yeah, so Beehive was great. So
slide advance, please.
Oh, one day I'll remember this. But that's why you like George.
Yes, exactly.
I need constant reminding and need to be under your tutelage at all times.
Tons of photos we'll be uploading of the Beehive too.
Yeah, so they have
photos.
Yep. So they have They were at on Post Road a while back, and now they're on Sanford Street, right across from the Fairfield Theater Company. And the best part is they have their own private parking lot. So again, parking can be challenging on Fairfield. So
Well, and down there by the train station,
yeah,
it's pretty
because
challenging.
but
Yeah.
that's just key, guys. They have their own parking lot. So
Insider scoop.
yeah, insider scoop. The Beehive is great. They have a tons of housewares, if you will, goods for the house. Any guaranteed how if you need a housewarming party gift, guaranteed gift to get there. Nobody knows that they sell furniture and they sell custom made furniture.
Custom, you can pick your fabrics out.
They had a
There's
whole section, yeah,
yeah.
of fabric. What do I say? Fabric samples. Thank you. But the stuff was great. They had a couple specific for Fairfield. They had just general housewares, house goods, pillows.
We'll be updating our slide, and you can get an inside peek into the bee. But inside the Beehive is another cool of a sub store. I'm not really on a pop-up store
called Party,
but that's a nifty little corner in the front right as you walk in.
Yep, and owned by Mary Thornton. Their name. They do fine stationery, invitations, and event planning, which I don't think people always know that they do event planning there. But their big thing seems to be they do a lot of bridal, wedding invitations, that type of stationery, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So definitely check it out. And they have their store, if you will. And the Beehive store, I just want to do a shout out to Leslie and Sandra. That's Lesley, not the way we typically
Not the
spell it.
IE.
Yeah, not the IE. So they're the owners of. We had the opportunity to speak to Leslie today when we stopped by the store today. So check it out. It's on Sanford Street. What's the address? 79 Sanford Street. And again, they're open own private parking.
And they'll be updating their website soon. But for now, take a look at the pictures we're going to drop in our social media as well, the updated slides.
Great.
And then that brings us to
us.
Well, of course, us.
In case you actually want to speak to George or myself, perhaps, I don't know, you need a real estate
We added
service
our
of some sort.
headshots here.
We did.
Damn, I'm handsome.
Yeah, and that's my headshot from a few years ago. And I'm never going to change it. I'll be selling real estate at 95 and keep this headshot.
Yeah, we are again realtors at William Pitt Sotheby's in Southport Harbor.
Yep.
Contact info is there, and that leads us to her brains, his looks, picks of the week for events.
Yes. So we always will have on our site, we'll always have the events in the area. But we like to highlight a couple that we like to add on every week. So we have, let's see.
What are you going to pick?
I got to pull up my thing. Hold on a second.
But
okay. So we have.
Come on. So on February 29th at the Sound Tiger game at the arena down in Bridgeport.
Yep.
You have Scout Ninja Marvel Night. That again is on the 29th of February. Marvel characters, Spider-Man, Hulk, the Black Widow, Thor. Go out and check that out.
Now that I have the right sheet in front of me, I can tell you what I was going to tell you.
All right.
Okay, sorry about that. February 20th, back it up a little bit. There's learn about the therapeutic riding with the Pegasus program. So it's a program I volunteered for years ago. I didn't tell you about this.
Yeah, I don't know what that
could
be.
It's okay. It's back to horses. It's an equestrian riding program for it's a therapeutic riding program for people with special needs and disabilities that you can learn how to be volunteers for it. And having a riding background, I've done that before. It's a fantastic program at local barns in the area. But we'll move off the horses. February 21st, Calling All Night Owls, a nighttime walk for children 8 and up and adults at 6 p.m. at the Audubon Society.
That's kind of nifty.
First Street. It really is. If you have a kid that's interested in nighttime things.
Are there owls there?
And well, we hope that you're going to be able to hear owls. That's the whole point. And then our running races are starting April 11th at 9 a.m. at Jenny's Beach. You have a Beach Bunny 5A open to children and regular runners. And then May 3rd, they're having their first annual beachside bridal show at 12 noon at Penfield Beach. So that's the first time that there. So and one more thing, One Book, One Town. Every town does a One Book, One Town where they whatever.
Again, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I didn't tell you this either, George. They select a book as a town to represent, and they bring in the author to, represent the book, talk about the book, there for Q&A. And this year's selection was In Running with Sherman the Donkey with a Heart of a Hero by Christopher McDougall. February 23rd at 11 a.m. at Fairfield U.
That about wraps up our our Her Brains, His Looks calendar picks, events picks. Those are on our website, herbrainshislooks.com.
Yep. And I am Her Brains.
What is your name?
Erika Portanova Songer.
I am His Looks, George E. O'Connell. Lastly, another shout out to Al for coming in.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank you,
again,
Al Strazza. And next week, we'll be live next Tuesday. We're going to feature the town of Stratford. So thank you for listening. Thank you for the support. And please reach out with any comments or input or thoughts. Love to hear from you.
Take care, guys.
The opinions, beliefs, and viewpoints expressed by the podcast hosts and their guests are theirs solely. The information shared has been professionally sourced and disseminated through the resources provided by the sponsoring real estate brokerage, their real estate experiences.